G'day Internet. It is time for the next update video on the Speed 3, and I regret to inform you that this whole project is not going well. You really can't win them all. The RX-7 ultimately went pretty well, but right now this project is kind of bumming me out. So, long story short, since the last video, I got it started up, I got it broken in. We ran into some issues along the way, such as my O-rings that attach the fuel rail to the fuel injectors. Those were not made for gasoline with ethanol, and they disintegrated and they plugged up my fuel injectors, and that was a big deal. And I got new fuel injectors, I put them in, and the problem that I'm running into is I can't get this thing tuned all the way because my knock sensor is reporting that there is pre-detonation consistently after like 5,500, maybe 6,000 RPM depending on the pull. It is a problem every single time, and I'm kind of losing my mind. It's now October. I've spent half a year of my life replacing parts in this, hoping that it'll make a difference, and then going out and it doesn't make a difference, and then replacing more stuff, going out and it doesn't make a difference. And honestly guys, this thing is beating me down. I don't know how much more fight I have left in me, because man, I've just spent so many hours taking this friggin' intake manifold off. I've taken this intake manifold off. Well, I guess it's not on there right now. It's dripping water down onto there. The fuel injectors have been replaced like 3 or 4 times with and without brand new seals. And I'm confident I have a good set of fuel injectors now. I think I got sent a bad set whenever I got the replacement set after the original ones got clogged. So I had to send those back, and I got a new set that are working better, but it's still knocking. And when I say it's knocking, it's not something that you can hear or even feel half of the time. It's just, if you look at the logs, it is reporting that there is pre-detonation, and it is pulling timing, and my tuner says you gotta fix that before we can continue. So right now it's making like 21 pounds of boost, and it should eventually be making like 26. And the methanol is not even involved yet. And the reason that, like, I'm certainly not gonna just be okay with it making even less power than it made last year. After I spent like, I don't know, I probably put like 3 grand into upgrades to make this thing more efficient, like the front mount intercooler and the new intake manifold and the new turbo inlet pipe and stuff. Like, I'm really bummed that none of that stuff is being used to its potential. Like, why did I buy that stuff if it's only going to go to 21 PSI? So, I replaced everything external to the engine. Coil packs and spark plugs and wiring harnesses and sensors, and none of that stuff made any difference at all. I did have injector seal leak at one point, but anyway, I ran out of things to replace, and about a month ago I decided to take the head off of the engine and inspect things, and we found some interesting findings. I am glad that I took it apart, because we had some random damage on piston number 2, which is the piston that was reporting misfires whenever the injectors got clogged. So I think it was running really lean for a couple of cycles, and it, upset the piston, and it ran it into the wall, and it was starting to chew things up. The piston rings, I'll insert some pictures. The piston rings looked like they were totally flat on one small portion of the ring surface. So I was like, okay, I'm going to replace those rings. So we've got new rings. Let me actually get the hood open. Actually, no, I don't really want to do that because water's going to fall down. Also, if you haven't noticed, the tent kind of blew apart on me the other day. It's the second time that it's happened. The 5.5 ounce covers that you get from Shelter Logic for these absolutely suck, and they only last 2 years. But we're about to build a garage, so hopefully this is the last one that I need. Anyway, it's not raining right now, but if I open the hood, it's going to drop down a bunch of water into there. I don't want to do that right this second. But I put new rings on piston number 2, and I sanded down the high spots on the piston damage, which is really minor, but it does really suck to see. And also, there was, now I'm really rambling, but this is important, there was a vertical scrape on cylinder 2 as well, but it didn't line up with the damage on the piston, so I don't understand how that makes any sense. But, yeah. So, the reason that I took it apart was, well, because I just wanted to dig in further and see if I noticed anything, because I have run out of things to test on the outside of the engine. I did a leak down test, and cylinders 1, 2, and 3 look really good. They're at like 8% leakage, which is totally good, fine. Number 4, however, is like double that. It's like between 15 and 18% leakage, so I wanted to figure out what was going on with that. So that's the main reason I took the engine apart. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it looks like there's nothing wrong with piston number 4 at all. The piston looks absolutely perfect. It looks to be wearing totally normally. The rings have nice even wear all the way around the surface. I have absolutely no idea why it has such high leakage. And I do have the symptom of very high amounts of oil in my PCV lines. So it's not coming from the turbo, but it is coming from the PCV system, which means there's probably a lot of blow-by, which is not shocking considering there's like almost 20% leakage on number 4. So I don't know what to do because it looks perfect, and the gap is perfect too, by the way. I checked that with a set of feeler gauges. So I ordered, this was really dumb. Okay, this is an important part of the story too, of why I'm so upset with this whole thing right now, is I originally just thought I needed one set of cylinder rings, or piston rings. So I ordered a set of 1, and that came really fast. And then I took apart piston number 2, because I wasn't originally planning on doing that, but my buddy convinced me to, and I'm glad he did. Suggested it. So then I took apart 2, realized it needs rings as well, and I went, shit, I need to order more rings. So at that point, I found that there was a listing for the cylinder rings in Canada, which I hadn't originally seen. So I ordered them from within Canada, which was a terrible idea, because it took 21 days for them to ship. I actually just got the email yesterday, or the day before, saying that they were shipped, which is good. So they are coming, but this thing has been down for a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I wanted to just take it apart, address whatever I was going to address, and put it back together, which is what we're doing, but it's getting set back like a month because of these friggin' piston rings, and it just makes me so annoyed, because I could have just ordered more in the first place, and this thing could have been tested like 2 weeks ago. So this graph right here is why this project is not going well. So this right here is around 5,000 RPM, and here is around 7,000 RPM. And this is it pulling timing because the knock sensor is hearing that there's pre-detonation. And it's doing this every single pull consistently. So I don't think it's the knock sensor picking up false knock or anything. Because I'm probably going to get suggestions in the comments of what to try, here's what to not tell me to try. So I tried 2 knock sensors, and I made sure that its wire was really well secured, because it is possible if you have heat shields banging around or wires tapping against each other, they can sometimes make the knock sensor freak out and report false knock, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I went through that whole gauntlet of tying things down. I don't think that's it. Tried another set of spark plugs that I gapped to 24 thou, which is what they're supposed to be. I tried 2 sets of OEM coil packs off of the parts cars. I didn't buy new ones, but like, if there was something wrong, that should have identified or made a difference, but no difference at all. I did a whole bunch of electrical checking and making sure there was good continuity from place to place, and all that's looking good. I drained the tank and filled it up from a different gas station like 5 times. I've been getting gas at different gas stations, and there's never been a difference. It's not, either all of the gas is bad in my province, or that's not the problem. Did a compression test, 186, 186, 192, 190, so basically really, really good. Boost leak test, so if I put 20 PSI in the system, it took 65 seconds to go down to 10 PSI. That's pretty good. Cleaned my MAF sensor. I got pissed off about it, and somehow they didn't fix anything. I've gotten really pissed off about it, and that has not fixed the problem at all. So there's a bunch of things that I tried, and none of that did anything, and I'm getting fed up with doing pulls and seeing my knock reading freak out. So we took it apart to see what we could see, and I'm glad that I did because of the damage on piston number 2. But I am annoyed to see that piston number 4, there's nothing obvious that I can improve about it. I have no idea why it's leaking more. And no, it's not coming past the valves. It is going down into the crankcase, and I've measured that in a couple of different ways. but I don't understand how. I really don't. Yeah, here's piston number 4. Its rings look totally mint, and everything about the piston looks mint. But somehow the piston that had visible damage on it had perfect leak down reading. I don't get it, man. None of this is making any sense. So I had an interaction with my machine shop about this head, and I'm not sure how I feel about how it went. So while I had everything apart, I wanted to verify that the valves were sealing well. Mostly because I was doing a test where I would pressurize the cylinder and then spray some fluid down the intake runners and see how much they bubble. And some of them were bubbling more than others, and I'm not sure if it's not supposed to bubble at all, and if bubbling indicates a problem, or if that's normal. I don't know. So I started taking the valves out to see what they looked like, and some of them appeared to be making really poor contact. Like, really poor contact. So I would pop the valve out and do a really light lap on it just to see where the contact was making contact. And some of them looked fine, but some of them looked really bad, and I'll insert some pictures. So I was concerned about that. So I sent some pictures over email to my machine shop, and they called me, and they were like, they agreed, yeah, that looks bad. Can you send your head in? And at first I was reluctant. I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to get this thing back together quickly, and I'm hoping that I can just fix it by lapping it up myself. But they convinced me to send it in, so that cost me $120 to send it over. I'm sure I could have done that a cheaper way, but that's just how I know how to do it. Just FedExed it or whatever. And so I sent it over there, and they told me that they tested it, and there was nothing wrong with it. They say they do a 30 PSI vacuum test on the ports, and they said that it passed their test, so there was no problem. So their suspicion was that it was because I'd used Engine Tech brand valves, which are not the highest quality brand ever, but they're not known for being terrible either. So I had supplied those whenever they did by the way, they did a valve job on this, which is why I'm talking to them at all. So it should be sealing really well, considering I spent money on a valve job to have the valve job done and stuff. So I wasn't happy to see that the contact pattern was terrible on some of these, and that some of them were bubbling more than others. So just a reminder why we're here. So I sent it over to them. They said there was nothing wrong with it, and they probably just to make me a little bit less annoyed, they noticed that there was a nick on cylinder 2, which there is, but that was there when it got ground down the first time, so they resurfaced this and didn't charge me for it, so that was nice, I guess, but also it was kind of pointless because this was already not a high spot. It was there when it got planed the first time. So they also, here's a problem. They cleaned it when it was over at their shop. So they basically just did this little job and then sent it back to me. But they also tanked it. They cleaned it, which is sort of nice. Yay, now the carbon is cleaned up from here and the gasket surface is perfect. I guess that's because they planed it, not because they cleaned it. But here's the problem. They shipped it back while it was still wet. So there was moisture on the inside of all the nooks and crannies of the head. So in the valve stem area, like water was sitting in there, and also water was sitting in between the valves and the seats. Some of them are more corroded than others, but it's corroded. They sent it back while it was like corroding itself in a bag. So they basically sent it back worse than whenever I sent it in the first place. I think that might be my final straw with this machine shop. I'm not going to name them, but if you're watching this and you're from that machine shop, you know who you are. Here's why I'm upset. You rusted my valves. You made me send this in for basically no reason. It really looks to me like there was a botched job done on these, whether it passes your test or not. Also, left small nicks in my cylinder block sealing surface, which I have on video. Didn't deburr my rods whenever they balanced it, so they were like super sharp as hell and I could pull little metal shavings off of them. They spray painted over all of my sealing surfaces, so I had to like clean that off. Like either mask it or do that yourself. They also spray painted my fuel injector holes. I just don't think that these guys have the attention to detail that I need in a machine shop. And the whole time they were like, oh, your little Mazda, oh, it's a 4-cylinder, oh, it's so easy, oh, we can do that all day, that's nothing for us. Well, I have some complaints. That's basically it for this update. So nothing that I am doing with taking the engine apart is necessarily going to fix a problem with pre-detonation. I have a new theory as of last night. Like, this is what I think about whenever I'm lying down trying to go to sleep. I wonder if they maybe decked the head a little bit too far, took a little bit too much off of it, because it was kind of corroded. It was a relatively shitty corroded block that we fixed up. I wonder if they planed that down a little bit much, and now the compression ratio is too high, and it's trying to squish our shitty 91 fuel that we have in my province a little bit too much. So here's something I regret. I didn't try octane booster before I took all of this apart. I am glad I took it apart because we found that damage, sanded down the high spots, new re-ringed 2 cylinders, blah, blah, blah. But I wish I had tried octane booster before I took everything apart. So I'm not going to be heartbroken if we put this thing all back together and break it in and the problem is still there. I actually expect that. I think that here's my bet. It doesn't fix the problem when I put everything back together, but it might fix the problem whenever I put some octane booster in it. Either because our fuel got... So I never thought that it would have been our fuel being bad because I've been tuned by Will Dawson before at Purple Drank like 3 times with the same car with the fuel that we have in Prince Edward Island, Canada. And it was never an issue until now. So that leads me to think that there is something else going on. But maybe my engine is trying to squish the fuel a little bit too much because there's less area in the combustion chamber because the head was maybe planed down a little bit too far. Maybe now this has been planed down in extra time, which it really didn't need. I probably should have told them I didn't want them to do that, but I was just like, whatever, free work, sure. But yeah, maybe I need to look at running a thicker gasket or something. I'm probably not on the right track at all, but you got to consider the things that you never previously considered, because everything that I have previously considered was not the problem. So anyway, we are going to get our rings in like a week, and I hope to have this all buttoned up by the time those arrive. We're going to re-ring cylinder number 4. I have no idea how that's going to increase the leak down numbers, but I don't know what else to do. And after that, it kind of is what it is. I'm going to put it back together, doing all that work. If I can't figure out how to fix this knock problem, I'm probably, like, I've already spent half a year of my life stressing over this, and this really put a damper on my year. I'm not going to lie to you. This really bummed me out. Put all this work into this thing, and we got stuck at, like, 99%, trying to get it tuned, and we just can't actually make power out of the thing, because something is wrong, and I can't friggin' figure it out, boys. I have replaced so many goddamn things, and nothing is the problem, so, yeah. Yeah. So this project is kind of kicking my ass, but hopefully we figure it out, and this is just another thing that we overcame in our engine building career. Anyway, that's pretty much all that I got for you today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully next time I get to show you 26 PSI of